Hello and welcome to the first ever Fantasy Football Cheat Sheet, a show that we've created here at Dream Team so that all of you lot are up to date with the latest injuries, suspensions, team news and tactical insight, all so that you can pick the right players for your fantasy teams ahead of the weekend's fixtures. And we must stress all of this information is from official sources. We make none of this up, well except the jokes. That's probably why you'll notice that they're so bad. But it is relevant to all fantasy football games as well, even if you're not signed up to our very own Dream Team. Every week the show will be released once all manager press conferences have taken place on a Friday. That means we'll be bang up to date with all the latest information. Today is a bit of a pre-season warm-up as we pick apart all the Premier League teams, how their pre-seasons have gone so far and what injury worries they've got ahead of the first game. So it's a double whammy this week as we'll be releasing our season-specific episode this coming Friday. Before we get into the meat of it, for those of you that are not playing the Dream Team game, you've got to get involved. There's a hefty jackpot on offer and it does involve Champions League and Europa League as well. That, for me, is the best part. It's a quality game and most importantly, it's free. Now, as this is a bit of a pre-season roundup, we're going to get all you lot up to speed. So it makes sense to go club by club. So it says on my script that we're going to go in order of who's the biggest banter club, which I think is Arsenal. Oh, okay, alphabetical, yeah, sorry. Well, gone are the days of Wilshere, Diaby and co, as Arsenal's treatment room is relatively empty. Mustafi, Martinelli, Mari and Chambers are all long-term absentees, but that's it. The likes of Pepe, Willian and Lacazette all missed the Community Shield, but that did appear to be tactical with no subsequent news coming out about the players. And finally, let's check in on what Mesut Ozil's been up to this pre-season. Aston Villa. There's not really much to speak about when it comes to Aston Villa, if we're honest, which being a man from the Midlands actually pleases me quite a bit. Current number one Tom Heaton is the only real injury of note. After suffering a serious knee injury back in January, the former England keeper said he was blasting his rehab back in May, but won't be back just yet. It does suggest that Orjan Nyland will be the likely starter at least until a new keeper comes in. Brighton. It's been a strong summer for the Seagulls with Adam Lallana coming in from the champions and promising centre-half Ben White's on a new 4-year deal. It has meant that we've had to say goodbye to Aaron Moy though. For the life of me, I just can't understand why the lad's gone to China. Jose Izquierdo is the only injury of note, with the Colombian not having played since the back end of the 18-19 season. In July, Graham Potter sadly said that he was the club's only long-term absentee. Brighton also gave a little taste of what their starting 11 could be on game week 1 in their 1-1 draw against Chelsea, as you can see here. Burnley. Nobody cares about Burnley, so let's move on. Chelsea. No, I'm only joking. Dyche's boys were hit pretty hard with injuries at the back end of last season. They had me, Taylor, Loughton and Barnes all on the treatment table. Of those, me and Barnes are still working their way back to fitness and are touch and go for game week 1. Chelsea. Remember when all Frank cared about was those young English boys? No, neither do I. The Abramovich money has well and truly engulfed Chelsea once more as the likes of Werner, Ziyech and Thiago Silva have all come in. Don't get me wrong, I am buzzing to see all of those guys in action. There's plenty of striking options in fantasy football, but at a lower price point, Timo Werner really is an unbelievable option. 28 goals and 8 assists in the Bundesliga last year, which is not a farmers league. Plenty of farmers leagues out there, that's not one of them. The key names sidelined for the Blues are Chilwell, Azpilicueta and Pulisic. The rumours are that Pulisic could feature in the first couple of game weeks, but don't expect him to start against Brighton. Crystal Palace. Injuries have not been kind to Roy's boys, who, by the way, looks great in a suit, doesn't he? That's what it says on the script, but he does. Very, very dapper. Their recent friendly against Millwall showed the extent of their problems, with Cheku Kouyaté continuing at centre-half and Tyrick Mitchell at full-back. Tompkins, Cahill, Sacco, Van Arnold, Ferguson are all out, which surely makes up the best defence in any treatment room in the country. One positive has been the signing of Eberechi Eze. He notched 14 goals and 8 assists in the Championship last season. The 22-year-old did miss the Millwall game as a precaution, but is set to start game week 1, so get him in your team. Fabian Delph and Mason Holgate are notable absentees for Everton. Just as Yerry Mina was confirmed back in training, fellow centre-half Holgate came off with a toe injury in their friendly against Preston, so expect Mina to start in game week 1. New signings James Rodriguez and Allen have both trained this week and could start if called upon by Ancelotti. The Scousers fielded a strong side against Blackpool last week, which showed Ancelotti's persistence with youngsters Jared Branthwaite and Anthony Gordon, with the latter signing a new long-term deal. Go on, lad. Certainly very cheap fantasy picks to keep an eye on. Leeds. Now, it feels good to be talking about Leeds where the Premier League's concerned, doesn't it? Sadly, there's not much to say really about Bielsa's boys, which is actually a good thing for Leeds fans. Spanish striker Rodrigo, most well known for his 17 Premier League appearances under Owen Call at Bolton back in 2010, is an exciting addition. Although resident Leeds fan and Dream Team coach Nick Elliott believes game week 1 will see Patrick Bamford start up top, which does seem fair given that he scored 16 times last year. Having said that, he's only scored 1 goal in his last 27 Premier League appearances. Leicester. Arguably one of the biggest stories ahead of game week 1 is the fitness of James Maddison. He's been seen training alongside Ricardo Pereira, another long-term absentee, for some time now. Back in July, Rodgers on Maddison said he'll spend the off-season getting right, so by the time we come back in August, he should be back and ready for the new season. Nothing has come out since to suggest he won't, so if you are a risk taker, maybe someone to get in. Pereira, though, definitely won't be ready. And Didi, Perez and Fuchs are all back in training too, which will bolster the squad ahead of what is going to be a pretty packed season with their Europa League commitments. Definitely something to factor in if you're playing Dream Team, which, as I've mentioned, involves European competitions. DreamTeamFC.com, or there's a link in the description below. Liverpool. Surely the Reds can't go another season without any injuries to their main men. Liverpool posted photos of both Jordan Henderson and Joel Matip back in training, which doesn't make for good viewing for the rest of the Premier League, as it means their strongest starting 11 will be ready for game week 1. One player to swerve is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Jurgen Klopp confirmed he picked up a similar injury to Henderson in training a couple of weeks ago and will be out for some time. The lad just can't catch a break, can he? Well, I suppose a break is the last thing he wants, but you know what. Man City. Aymeric Laporte and Riyad Mahrez have both tested positive for COVID-19. We wish them both a speedy recovery. The club have said that neither are showing symptoms, and with a 10-day self-isolation period, both should be available for game week 2. Sergio Aguero joins Lionel Messi in not starting the new season for Man City. As you can see, he's working really hard to make the first game though. It'll be an interesting season for the Argentinian up against Gabi Jesus, who scored 4 in the final 5 games of the season and chucked 2 assists in there. Just 8 goals this season for Aguero will put him ahead of Andy Cole into 3rd in the all-time top goal scorers list. Oh, and has anyone seen John Stones? John O? Man United. Right, come on, let's get it out of the way. Phil Jones is on the treatment table. Bet none of you were expecting that, were you? His serious knee injury that kept him out of the Europa League is likely to do so again for the next few weeks. Marcus Rashford suffered a classic international week injury, but he personally tweeted saying all should be fine. And I'll tell you to believe it. By the way, can we all just take a moment to applaud Marcus Rashford, by the way? First school dinners, and now he's trying to end child food poverty. What a guy, legend. Luke Shaw missed the back end of last season and will be waiting on Friday's press conference to see whether it's him or Williams to start at left back on what will be game week 2 for them. Don't forget, both Manchester clubs will not be involved in game week 1. Newcastle. Right, Kylian Mbappe looks set to be fit ahead of their foot. Oh, that takeover didn't happen, did it? Well, Jeff Hendrick should be fit anyway. I'm sorry, that is brutal. What started off as a pretty terrible summer has certainly got better with the additions of Wilson and Fraser. Although one of Newcastle's most consistent performers, Martin Dubravka, has fractured his ankle and will be out for at least a couple of months. And then there's Dwight Gale. He scored 4 goals after the restart and he's just been confirmed out for 2 months as well after coming off in a pre-season game. And Paul Dommett's picked up a knock as well. What is going on? Sheffield United. It's going to be hard for Pedro Wada to replicate what he did last year, but with Jack O'Connell nearly back in first team contention, it means the Blades will have a full complement to choose from ahead of their game week 1 clash with Wolves. Come on Wolves, the boys, come on. For those of you wondering why we call him Pedro, it's basically because if he was called Pedro, he'd be the Barcelona manager. It's a big shout, I know, but it's true. And there's no doubt that infamous back 5 will keep clean sheets once more. They kept 13 last season, which was the same as Man United and Leicester, and 3 more than Arsenal, although that's not hard. Southampton. Less than a year ago, Hasenhüttl and his boys were trudging off at St Mary's, having got walloped 9-0 by Leicester. Southampton showed faith in their manager though, and they finished 2 points off the top half of the table. Who would have thought showing faith in a manager actually works? Well, they're going into the 2021 campaign with absolutely no injury worries either. All the talk is likely to be about Danny Ings once again, and rightly so. But let's give a shout out to Che Adams, who scored 4 in 6 at the end of last season. By the way, I am still thinking about Aaron Moy and why he's gone to China. I still can't think of why he's gone there. I know it's close to home for him, but yeah. Spurs. Jose is going to have a full squad to pick from ahead of their game week 1 clash against Everton. Like Leicester and Arsenal, they'll have a Europa League campaign to juggle this season as well. All the best. As a Wolves fan, it pains me to say that Matt Doherty is going to be an unreal signing for Spurs. Aurier might have been decent going forward, but I'm not going to miss waiting for him to give away an inevitable penalty every game. And as we speak, now I hope I don't jinx this, but as we speak, Harry Kane is actually fit. In my opinion, he is the best striker in the league, but can he stay fit for the whole season? Probably not. West Ham United. A solid pre-season for the Hammers has seen them win their opening 3 games, scoring 11 goals in the process. There are no injuries to speak of, and 2 goals for Thomas Souček makes him a very interesting midfield proposition. That builds on the 3 goals he scored after signing in January last season. And I've got nothing else to say on them really. That's your lot. Sorry, Hammers fans. Wolves. And finally, my beloved Wolves. If you didn't know already, Wolves have an unbelievable injury track record. But a month ago, it was confirmed that left wing-back Johnny had done his ACL and will miss at least half the season, but likely more. It means Wolves will begin their season minus both of their wing-backs, arguably the most important element of their 5-3-2 system. Because the other wing-back is, of course, Matt Doherty. Right, that's all from us. I know it was a bit of a bumper episode today, but hopefully that's given you a lot more clarity ahead of game week 1. One final reminder to sign up to our Dream Team Fantasy Football game. There's a link in the description below. It's a brilliant free-to-play game. There's a massive jackpot up for grabs, and it includes European football. I can't stress how good watching European football with Fantasy Points Online is. There's loads more information like this within the app too if you sign up to our Dream Team Coach subscription service. Projected scores, fixed difficulty rating, projected price changes, and loads more if you're looking for that extra detail when picking your teams. As it's the first show, let us know what you thought in the comments below. Tell us what your teams are going to look like. Have you got any obscure picks? How confident are you ahead of the new season? Please drop us a comment below. I'll make sure that we reply to all of them. Okay, and that's your lot. We'll see you very soon.